So today we're actually making candied yams, and they are actually a lot of fun to make. I'm going to use these, and we're actually going to make 2 different pans here. We're going to double the recipe. This brilliant bright orange color here is for your health. It's full of vitamins and nutritions for you, and we have it in a clear bowl so you can actually see what we're doing, and it's a very fast, super good recipe. The first thing we're actually going to do is, and I know this one's going to look a little different than traditional candied yams. Okay, so it's 2 cups of honey. Yeah, that's 2 cups of honey there. It's about half a jar, but actually we're going to put half in here and half in the other one. How about that? This is raw honey. And I like this dish because it's a dish that you kind of just pour it on and pour some on that side. Then 2 cups of water. To the water, I'm going to add my lemon juice because it actually gives it pulls out the flavor of the sweetness there. So half of this will be 2 cups. See that on the side? I've got 4, so about half of that one. You see it? It's 4, so we're going to do half. Half in here and half in the other one, yeah. Yeah, about 2 cups. Kind of want to cover it. This is when I say super simple, it's really not complex. It's kind of like some people make their carrots, except for using sweet potatoes with it, and then use it on the other side. Yeah. The biggest thing is to cover it, so that's why I brought some extra water. Go ahead and use that over here and cover this one, and then we'll finish the other one in the room. Okay, then we're going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt. Just enough salt to cover the top. So we've got the lemon juice, we've got the honey. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. This is our butter. You won't taste the olive oil, it'll actually taste like candy yams. Ready? And you can put the next one on, Nehemiah. He's just holding this part. Kids like to be involved. Okay, and now put one in this one too. Let him put it in. You can put that. Let him put it in. He can put it in. Then we're going to sprinkle the top with a little bit of flour, okay? And it's not a lot. It's just that when the water drink comes down, this is just going to be enough to thicken it up a little bit. So it's, yeah, and it's whole wheat flour, so it's actually adding nutrition. So now that we're done with that, it's not a lot of flour. We're just going to stir that around here. Cover it with some aluminum foil and stick it in the oven. And then it's going to bake until it's time to eat. It says about 35 minutes. So by the time we're ready, it should be done. Got it? It's super simple. We're probably going to put maple syrup in this one so you can taste the difference in flavor. It's got some honey in it already, but maple syrup and water, but basically the same. And this should be ready for you in just a moment. Doesn't that look pretty good, right? Yeah. The benefit of doing it this way is usually in traditional candy yams, you actually have butter, which we know clogs the arteries, or margarine, which is a trans fat, which is worse. And a lot of times we use the sugar. So we've used natural sweeteners here. Okay? Any questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and stick this in.
Today, what we're going to make is macaroni and carotene. The reason why we're making macaroni and call it macaroni and carotene is because it has carrots in it. And so this is 5 cooked carrots, okay? 5 cooked carrots. So I'm going to stick that in the blender, but how I cooked it? Well, what I did was just washed them, peeled them, cut them up, and put them in a pot with some water in it. And that was it. So then, actually before I add that, I'm going to go ahead and add 1.5 cups of water. And some carrots. And cashews and sesame seeds. And sesame seeds is actually good for your bones. So put that in there. And The next thing we're going to add is lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice. Okay? And soy milk. So 2 cups of soy milk. And 1/4 of an onion. Oops. And 2 cloves of garlic. And paprika, and that's it. So we're gonna blend this together. And don't forget your salt, because I don't think I put salt in it yet, okay? So blend it all together. And don't forget to put your salt in it. So I'm gonna put some salt in here.
How much salt we use?
Let's say about 2 teaspoons or 2.5 to taste. So now what we're going to do is do this. So what you do first of all is you put some olive oil. You know how you season macaroni before you so you put a little bit of olive oil in here. Just you don't have to measure that, okay? And garlic powder and onion powder. Okay, and some salt. Just it's up to you. Okay, so you're gonna mix it together like this. And you can put paprika in there too. But then after you mix it, then you go ahead and put the cheese sauce in it. And here it goes. I'll stir this up and then put the rest of it in there. So just mix it up. And then put some more cheese in there.
Yeah.
And they got organic celery there. So it's best if you can. It's not a requirement, but it's best if you get as much as organic as possible because you'll have as much of those spray.
Okay, so this is what it looks like.
Take a look, everyone.
More nice.
There you go.
Make me some.
And how you gonna keep it?
So what we're gonna do is bake this in the oven, and you can bake it for about 30 minutes, okay? At 350 degrees.
So now what we're gonna do is gonna make this loaf, and we have blended up here. This is a Harvest Nut Loaf, and we have here blended up some walnuts. We have of course you have your recipe there. We have about 3-4 cups of walnuts, but we doubled it since we got a nice little crowd today. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this in here. We have here some blended up pecans. We have about the same amount as the walnuts. So I'm gonna add this in, and what I used to blend this up was a food processor. It blended it up nice and well. You can use a blender if you like. If that's all you have, you can use that. Utilize it to the best of your ability, as long as it's blended up nice and like into a nice meal. Ground it up into a nice meal. That's right, making our own meat. I had to worry about it being contaminated with a lot of harmful chemicals, and you have to worry about other stuff that the meat industry is putting in their meat. But anyway, right here I have some breadcrumbs. I have 6 cups of breadcrumbs. And your recipe, it says 3 cups, but like I said, I doubled it. So we have breadcrumbs here. That gives it more of a base. It spreads out the the nuts that's grounded up there. Yeah, what we do is we made our own. We got some King Arthur whole wheat flour. Put some flour in there, salt, water, mix it up, spread it on the pan, put it in the oven.
And she made those crumbs out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how we made the crumbs. Yeah, simple. Quick and simple. Just flour, water, salt. That's it. And we have some celery. And we already talked about celery, the benefits of it. It's good for your blood pressure. Helps with stomach cancer and other things. Helps with arthritis. So this is a good nutritious food here. So I'm gonna add this in here. We had the measurements on the recipe, so you'll get that. Well, the recipe didn't say grind it up. Well, if you want to grind it up, you can grind it up. But once it gets in the oven and bakes, it's not gonna be crunchy. You know, it's gonna be nice and soft, and it's gonna bring out the flavor to this nut loaf. So it has some onions here. That's going to increase the flavor also. Some onions. And we will put a sauce over this. There will be a sauce to put over this this loaf. Because once we're done with the loaf, we're going to bake it at 350 for about an hour. And then after that, you can take it out. You can make a sauce. I think the sauce is on the recipe too. You make a little barbecue sauce. Use tomato puree, molasses or whatnot, and a little honey or salt. Put it over the top. Put it in the oven about 10 minutes, and you're good to go. Only thing we need to add now is our seasonings. So we have right here some basil, and you can add sage or thyme, one or the other. So I have sage for this right here. Sage and basil. And I'm going to add this in there. And do it kind of professional, like on the cooking shows. Yeah. Just kind of spread that out like that. And I'm going to kind of mix it around. Got to distribute the flavor. So I'm going to do that again. Same process. Just have fun with it. Just like that. Mix it again. Matter of fact, we need to add our salt. So I'm going to add some salt to this. We're going to mix that up. All right. Dump the rest of our seasonings in there. Next thing we're going to add is our milk, our soy milk. Just going to add next. I'm going to add 2 cups of soy milk. Well, actually 4, excuse me. I add 4 because I'm doubling this. Add some more. And that soy milk helps it when you put it in the pan. It makes it more moldable to get it in there. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit of this to the dish here. Just a little bit. I don't want it to get burned at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this in here.
Paradise food.
Yeah.
Amen.
Now, as you can see, it's moldable just like ground beef. I mean, look at that. You would have thought this was real meat. Well, actually, it is real meat because the Bible says in Genesis, you know, in Genesis chapter 2, God told Adam and Eve, you may eat of every tree of the garden. You may freely eat. And he told them the food of the garden, the trees and stuff, to you that shall be for meat. That's what he said. That's your meat right there. That's real meat. That's the real meat. So people talking about, man, y'all don't eat no meat. Yeah, I eat meat. Fruits, grains, nuts, and vegetables. That's real meat right there. Now, when the Bible refers to meat as we think of it, it's talking about flesh. It'll say flesh. So we don't have no flesh in here. We got God's original meat. Fruits, grains, nuts, and vegetables. That won't give you no heart disease, no high blood pressure. It won't give you no stroke. It won't have you with diabetes. Matter of fact, it will reverse all those diseases. So that's it. As you can see, it's done. Pop this in the oven, and we're good to go. About an hour at 350. Then we take it out. You can make a sauce for it, and you can leave that. After you lay the sauce on top of it, you can leave it in the oven about 10 minutes, and then that's it. Done. So the loaf is smelling good. It's almost ready. You can smell it coming out. But I'm gonna make the sauce. What I did was I took that tomato puree that was shown to you earlier, and I have 1 can in here, and I also have, see, I forgot I was supposed to demonstrate it. I was just getting ready to dump stuff. I already got 1 freshly squeezed lemon in there for the lemon juice. And so that and the tomato puree is mixed. Now I'm just gonna add some salt here. And you got the recipe right there, so I'm just gonna do how I do at home. Huh? Yeah, you got the recipe. I'm gonna do like I do at home. Boom. So I got some salt there, sea salt, put a little molasses in there. Now here's a little tip for you. What you can do is get you some tofu, slice it real thin, and you can put a little salt on it, put it in the oven. Well, of course, put a little oil, salt. Put it in the oven, let it bake till it get nice and where you can actually chew it a little bit. If it get a little crunchy on the ends, it's all right. Get your little sauce. Make this sauce right here. Put your seasonings in it. This is how I do it at home. When I put the salt and stuff on it, you don't have to. However you want to do it. I put some garlic powder, onion powder on it, put it in the oven. Then let it sit, make the sauce. Take the stuff out, put the sauce over it. Put it back in the oven. Boom. And you want something extra? Get you some onions. Chop some onions. Put it in there. When you put the tofu in there, chop the onions, put it in there with the onions. And take it out. Put the sauce on there. Boom. Just put it on. So I want to be fancy. I want to get a brush. Yeah. Yep, put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes, and it's ready to go. Yeah, we'll put it for 5. On the recipe, it said 10 minutes, but it looks like it's pretty much done here. I know y'all ready to eat, so this is the quick version. It is. We're gonna put it in the oven about 5 minutes. It's good to go. There's your Harvest Nut Loaf with barbecue sauce.
So that's ready. The loaf is almost ready by the time he's done with the sauce, and this will take 10 minutes. So we've got about 10 more minutes until dinner time. Okay, just so you can know. Yeah. All right, so here we are. That's this one, and the. All right, put it back in there for now, and then we'll come right back out with. Yeah, it looks like regular macaroni and cheese, right? And it tastes very, very good. Full of carotene, right? Yeah. She calls it macaroni and carotene. So, all right. So this one is some green. So you got your orange, and here's your green coming up. Here is boiling water, just enough to like an inch above the bottom. That's all. And then we're just going to add these freshly cut greens that Kim was so gracious to wash and cut for us. And these will cook for literally about 10 minutes. And then everything else should be pretty much done as well. And these are going to cook down. Okay, so while that cooks down, all we're going to add to it is an onion. And I add the olive oil at the end. There is going to be a little oil added to it to give it that meatier kind of flavor. And this is garlic. So I've got some, yeah. She's the garlic lady back there. She's got the best garlic from generations. I like finding native stuff that people had for generations because you know you're getting something good. But this is what we heard. But okay, so there's garlic and onions, and these greens just kind of sit here for about 10 minutes cooking on their own. Then we're at the very end, near the end, we're going to add the tomatoes and the olive oil. Okay, the last couple of things added to this is the reason we don't add the tomatoes at the beginning is because once you add the acid or the salt, it makes it not as tender. So you usually try to add it at the end when it is at least a little tender. This needs to cook a little longer. Miss Grace will say it's too hot, too tough. Right? We'll add a little olive oil and salt to this, and it's like 2 tablespoons there. And then the tomatoes gives it, these are garden tomatoes. Okay, I want to show you this stinging nettle real quick. And again, this grows, and it's an herb you can actually go to an herb store and buy, but okay, but this is three main branches. It's not in the leaf. It's not in the leaf. It's not poison ivy. It's on the branch itself. And he's going to show you where they are for those of you who want to get. It is hard to touch a stinger because those stingers you can actually see. It's not something that's like, okay, you can, if you know what you're looking at, you'll see the stingers on there. Okay, I'm just going to read to you. Here's a picture of it. Here's a colored picture of it in this herb book. This is Peterson's Field Guide to Herbs, Medicinal Plants and Herbs. It's a very good resource if you're trying to find out what grows in my backyard. My daughter makes hair products. She puts nettle in the hair products. We've been buying it from different stores online, and they get it from who knows where, and we grow it right here. You know, and when she harvests it a whole lot better. And you know, there's one reason her hair product costs so much is because she was buying her stuff from, you know, literally across the country, all over the place. And nettle grows right here. You know. Wisdom, this is knowledge. So when we got these books were maybe $10, $15 or whatever, and it saved us because one bag of the nettle is like $19, $20 right there. Now, do we have to buy any more? It's right there. I mean, this is just smart. It has the picture there for a very good identification. It tells you details about what it is, what it's good for. Traditionally, leaf used in Europe as a blood purifier. And rheumatism. Rheumatism is another word for that arthritis, kind of a stiff feeling. Yeah, it's a blood purifier. Anytime you're purifying the blood, it's good. And this nettle is a good blood purifier. And you can actually cook it like spinach. I'm not going to cook it today, but you can actually take these leaves, cook it, and actually have a fresh spinach salad. You can eat it fresh because you're not getting the stingers, you're just getting the leaf, or you can actually put it in cook it and like you would greens and actually eat it that way, and it tastes like spinach. Okay, so it's a diuretic, astringent for anemia. Remember I was telling you it's high in iron and magnesium. It's good for gout, glandular diseases, poor circulation, enlarged spleen, mucus discharges of the lungs, internal bleeding, diarrhea, dysentery. It involves the action of white blood cells, aiding coagulation, formation of hemoglobin and red blood cells. So it actually increases your red blood cell production. This is what that does. And I don't want to touch the wrong spot. It's okay. It's not. I mean, you got to be like grabbing it, pulling it, and squeezing it. It's not like, you know, and when you get stung by that, yeah, you will know it because it injects what it is, what those stingers are in, and it injects it, and then you have to get your your yellow dock. Okay, they use it for prostate cancer. They put it alongside. It helps to alleviate arthritis, etc. It's good for the lungs. Good, yeah, it's good for the urinary system, the kidneys, yeah, you're right. And that's what this book says. This one is Peterson Field Guides to Eastern Plants Grown for Medicinal Plants. Yeah, they say it's good for men that are over 50 years old because it helps with the prostate area.